people are like, "Oh, it's so expensive. I don't want to pay $60 for this AAA game if it's going to have fake frames in it."
Yeah.
Like as a
I
reason,
paid for all the frames.
Yeah, like
Is that
as
what
we
we're talking about?
Yeah, like as a reason to talk about it. Even though
I paid for all the frames.
like, so you get a lot of people that complain about stuff like this that weren't going to buy the game, didn't buy the game, are complaining that they know it's a thing because somebody pointed out it was a thing. Because somebody pixel peeped and they noticed it and were like, "I can't believe this thing exists," but they weren't buying it anyway.
Young Junk!
Is Nvidia pushing the boundaries of gaming and AI, or just pushing prices higher? Let's break down the latest GPUs, their real-world performance, and whether they're worth your money is what ChatGPT says this episode should be about. But instead, we're going to ask Chris a bunch of questions about tech because we don't know nothing about no graphics cards.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this stuff a bunch lately, and it's been a hot topic for years now, but it's kind of ramped up very recently because Nvidia just a couple weeks ago unleashed their latest line of graphics cards, the 50 series, which in the 50, 70, 50, 80, 50, 90. Graphics cards have terrible names, by the way.
Yeah, what is the last one, like 1080?
Well, that was 4 generations ago.
1080X or something?
It was 4 generations ago, which was like 3 years ago, real time.
Okay.
Yeah. And really, a lot of this now, the 50 series came out, right? And it's very expensive. The top of the line card, I forget what it was. You're going to misquote me on this.
It's like $11.99?
No, it's more. It's more like $1,400
wow.
Like, it's a lot.
Does it do more better?
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't do that much more better. The betterness is questionable.
You're supposed to have more better when you're paying more.
Moore's Law?
Well, Moore's Law arguably has been killed. Yeah. So,
All right,
there's no more Moore's Law.
Moore's Law is dead.
Pour
so
one out for more.
Yeah, and Moore's Law, I believe, is the idea that every 2 years, transistors would increase by 2, and prices would decrease by half.
Prices?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was size would decrease, and also they would double the number.
See, I think there's a couple iterations of it, and I probably also just butchered it. So, but I'm going to talk authoritatively anyway.
There's more Moore's Laws than we thought.
Yeah. Which more are we talking about here? But yeah, so have you ever done any PC gaming in the modern era?
That's a great question. No, not really, but we have put together we tried to put together two PCs to run some editing software and whatnot, but I was always trying to get around prices and things like that. So I know there's like a GTX something in a drawer somewhere. That's as far as we got.
Nice.
It's still in that drawer.
Just in a case in the drawer, or just like in the box?
Nope, just out, getting ports fried and whatever else it does.
And Steve, I know you do a fair amount of PC gaming.
Yeah, but I've been lazy/cheap the last 6 or 7 years. So I've just been buying laptops that are mid-end.
Yeah.
To get a graphics card to last me until the laptop dies.
Well,
basically.
I feel you. It happened when the Mac M1s came out, where I started being like, I'm just going to base model everything.
Yeah,
and just
I used to
ride
build
the base model and then sell it when the next base model makes more sense.
Yeah, because I used to build computers, and Chris got me into actually building PCs and everything, and I was like, oh, this is fun and economical.
Mm-hmm.
And then graphics cards contrary to Moore's Law, kept getting more and more expensive for what I needed to be mid-range, high mid-range, where it would last me a few years.
There was also a big switch in my world in editing software where there was a time where your GPU mattered more than your CPU, and then they flipped it a couple of years back, right when I was like, I'm going to get graphics cards. And I was like, what?
And
you do it now?
Yeah,
right now.
Same thing with gaming, too.
And as the resolutions increased in the videos, you would think the GPUs, I mean, both have to be very strong. Yeah. But when you're talking pushing 4K, 8K content, you would think some GPU acceleration would be nice. But apparently it's still very CPU bound, is what you're saying.
Yeah. And by the way, when we get to 10,000 subscribers, we'll unlock 4K streaming. So YouTube has just unleashed this little bad boy upon us. So... but you got to earn it.
Like, comment, subscribe now.
That's right. Do it more than you think is healthy.
We never say it. And I realized, I'm going to start saying it.
We're going to start saying
a little bit of that.
Well, we need our end cards.
Oh, yeah.
in post, Ethan's going to go, no, not doing that.
I make the jokes around here, Terry.
Ignore the fact that this is the first time I've used my dumb avatar in this series. Bye.
But basically, roughly every year and a half, there's a new generation of GPUs coming out. And Nvidia's kind of been the top dog for a while now, like nearly a decade. There's also AMD, and they put out graphics cards that are almost
Advanced
as good.
micro devices?
Also known as AMD.
Sounds right. AMD.
And
And it used to be ATI, and they made
remember
graphics
that.
cards, and they were bought by AMD, and now it's all AMD. It's
Radeon series
the
used to be.
Radeon.
Are they RTX now or something like that?
No, RTX is the name for the GeForces now.
Then what are the There's not a GTX. I made that up. Okay.
No, there was a GTX, and now it's RTX because it's ray tracing.
Oh,
Ray tracing.
oh, this stupid thing.
Extreme. Oh, so it's
Ray
interesting to see
tracing.
where this is coming.
I thought
Yeah.
it was ray tracing technology.
Yeah, I actually don't know what the X is for in
okay.
RTX. I just know.
For some reason, I always read it as technology, and I was like, I'll allow
I
it.
like that. That's
Well,
just technology from Texas.
I follow this industry as a hobbyist, and like I don't know what the acronyms are for.
I find it so interesting that I'm about to do an Iverson thing because, like, we're talking about graphics cards. We're not talking about the programs or the stuff that gets created with it.
Not
Yeah.
the games, not the games, not the apps. Talk about video cards, man.
We're talking about cards.
Well, people get obsessed with it too. Like, and this is all they think about, and then you get sucked up in it. Like, I'm a PC enthusiast, so I'm like, all right, I want to know what this latest gen hardware can do, and I spend all this money, and I get this thing, and I install it, and I get it working, and I'm like, well, what do I do now? Like, what am I gonna play? And then a lot of the time, a couple of years ago, I was like, I'm going to play StarCraft 2 in this. StarCraft 2 is 15 years old. It doesn't matter what GPU I'm playing. I can just play it on anything.
Well,
I don't.
take a GPU that's not compatible with it anymore,
Yes.
and they have to release a patch for StarCraft so you can play it on your RTX or whatever they've been
Well,
doing.
that's what's interesting is it seems like you can't play your PS4 games on your PS3.
Right.
But when it comes to graphics cards, there's not necessarily an incentive that I have to go on the latest thing anymore.
And a
there
lot of
probably
them-
hasn't been for a couple
they
of years.
scale really well.
Yeah,
Typically. Now, there will be things that change that up. Recently, so with the 50 series, there's been a little more controversy because a game came out for the first time that required ray tracing. You need an RTX card. It's called Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Have you heard of this game?
I've heard of this game. I've actually heard it's very good and the first good, truly great Indiana Jones property since
Since Raiders of the Lost.
probably
It's excellent.
since Last Crusade.
I was
I
about to
would,
say people like Last Crusade. I hate Last Crusade.
you would love the game?
I think we've talked about this before, but I hate it.
Wow. Fighting Nazis on a tank in a canyon?
I
That was
don't-
great.
I love the
I
fighting-
don't like fast women. That's one of my favorite lines.
I
say it
think-
all the time
I think
in a
because
club.
Temple of Doom was my favorite one of my favorite movies ever, and I was like, they're gonna make another one, and I just didn't like it as much.
You know you're in the minority though.
Yeah, I also love Ghostbusters too. I know I'm fighting uphill battle on that. I like
think-
it better than the first one, rather.
I think we only like that because Comedy Central, when we were young, played Ghostbusters
Well, no.
2 all the time.
I only got to see Comedy Central at my grandma's house, and she never let me watch Ghostbusters there. No, I don't know if she actually had a rule against Ghostbusters, but she just didn't like Comedy Central that much, so we didn't watch it.
Short. Does Steve's grandma hate Ghostbusters? Find out in this short. Yeah, she does, and that's it.
But so, yeah, you were over Indiana Jones in the 80s, it sounds like.
It wasn't over. I just did. Oh yeah. That's the kayfabe I'm going with. Yeah, I was over it in the 80s.
Yeah. But that's fine. I love, for the record, Temple of Doom is probably my favorite because I watched it the most, and it's so cheesy. Regardless,
The
though,
first one's the best one. But
this game is
First
great.
one's very good, too.
This game feels like another indie movie. It's not Harrison Ford, but it's someone who
yes.
sounds a lot
Yes,
like
Troy
him.
Baker.
oh,
If
Troy
you-
Baker's amazing.
If you didn't tell me it wasn't Harrison Ford, I wouldn't know.
I saw a clip from Troy Baker the other day where he said Harrison Ford was mad at him. They presented at like some game award thing together, and he was like, "Yeah, if I knew you were gonna be this good as me, I would have done it."
Wow.
Like, he's just like, "Yeah, you whippersnapper."
But so basically, this game comes out, need ray tracing. Basically, that means you need a card that was made in the last 3 to 4 years, or you can't play it.
Fortunately, it was bundled in with all the latest Nvidia card purchases.
Right, and that's
which is
how I
why
got
own
it. I didn't even. I bought a new graphics card, and it's like, oh, I'm actually interested in this game. A lot of the times they give you free games with graphic cards. I don't care about those games, and my life is more about time than it is about the free. So yeah, I don't get paid, but I've been playing Indiana Jones.
Is this a first where is this the first time you've had to get a graphics card just to play a certain game? I mean, for you personally.
For me
Historically, no.
personally,
Oh,
well, it depends how far we go back. Yes, arguably, like,
I mean, back when they first came out.
yeah, I mean, there didn't used to be discrete graphics cards. It was all running on the CPU. And, people were playing Doom, didn't need a graphics card. You ran it on the CPU. And I don't think there wasn't a graphics accelerated version for a long time.
But now there's this guy, Ray. He comes to your house. He puts a piece of paper on top of your TV, and he traces.
Yeah.
And it's caused a whole thing.
Are you familiar with...
That's how my grandpa would talk about it.
Are you familiar with just like the general idea behind what ray tracing is?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's for the audience, it is the computer calculating where light is bouncing in a room, and it's a way to make lighting, in theory, look really good and realistic in either real-time or not real-time graphics. Now, ray tracing has been a thing for as long as 3D graphics have been a thing.
Yeah, they spent a lot of time baking it out of the engines of video games because it's very
slow.
labor intensive and slow.
Very slow.
Here, let's give it a goog. Let's look at ray tracing in Indiana Jones.
Which is the only way to see it.
Yeah, I guess there's no comparison with it off.
True.
Because I've been playing Spider-Man 2, the PC port, recently, and they had a lot of ray tracing problems when it first released on PC because it was a bad port. But they also added some newer ray tracing methods to it, which is why it was buggy.
Yeah.
Like anything that was in shadow would be dithered, which is really weird if somebody turns their head and their hair is covering their face and then suddenly their face turns into a pixelated mess.
Yeah.
But it was a very good crash course in what ray tracing versus non-ray tracing looks like.
Error.
Oh, wait.
Is that on us or on
Is
them?
this the video or?
Digital
that's a
Foundry.
new one. I doubt they messed up.
It might have been in their video.
Might have been.
Yes, skip to the end, see if it still says. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there's full RT.
No, yeah, I think it's
I think it's on us.
Huh? Well, so
You need to upgrade your graphics card.
Audio render error. No,
Wait,
it's just
audio render?
yeah, it's very confusing.
Do you have a sound card?
no.
I haven't seen one of those things in decades.
Yeah, that's
I would
something you
just
used
refresh.
to have as a separate discrete
There
item.
we go.
So the game looks gorgeous, especially in motion.
Those look like photos.
So that's ray tracing off.
So
That's
full
one.
ray tracing, there's different levels of ray tracing. And to run the game at all, ray tracing's on.
Nice.
Full ray tracing means it's following every particle of light to its conclusion, which is very labor intensive.
Yeah, if I'm not wrong, I think like the most basic level is just like God rays and those interactions, basically, and then you start
What's a
having
God ray?
like when you see the rays of light coming down through like clouds.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So you see this stuff and you're like, oh, there's more reflections. What's interesting in this, sometimes I think it's better with it off. And
Not in these clips though, because I see what they're saying is that there's basically the way I'm getting it through my dumb guy brain is that it handles the fact that it's just a light source going through a polygon when you're not ray tracing, and instead makes it so that it's less. Yeah. Here's a thing here. Here's a perfect shadow underneath. We're gonna dither it a little more so it looks more realistic.
Yeah,
I think that makes sense.
it spreads out and
That's a God ray in the middle.
yeah,
The beams of light.
coming
Sick.
and it does make it look, the game looks great. The thing is, like, there's other games where you can turn ray tracing on and off, and for me, a lot of the times, like they unleashed a special version of Quake 2 that has ray tracing in it.
yeah.
Quake 2 is an old game.
Yeah.
Quake 2 came out in the 90s, but they were like, hey, now you can play this game in a whole new way. And I tried it. I was like, oh, I just got an RTX card. Let's see how it looks. It looks a little cool. Just nothing mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And it tanks your frame rate, right? So basically to me, it's like, oh, so ray tracing is how you have your frame rate. And that I'm much more sensitive to than like necessarily how the shadows are playing.
Yeah.
And
Well,
You don't need your game to look realistic like real life. You can see real life with your own eyes.
yeah.
I think it depends how you're absorbing your games. Are your games like, I don't know, passive? Are you and cinematic, or are you actually playing? It's like, I think you love Super Meat Boy.
Yes.
Super Meat Boy looks like shit,
Yeah.
plays amazing, and that's a trade we're willing to make.
Could you go back to that
right?
shot? Sorry, I was trying not to interrupt. But
No, it's okay.
because like that was that last shot with his rocks shows a there. Like you see how the shadows with ray tracing on are more prominent and more realistic.
Yeah.
But with off, it doesn't look bad.
It looks
It just
better.
doesn't
You're
look
not going to be able to sell the American public on this.
Right, and this
Yeah,
is the sort
yeah,
of thing you can only tell
if you're looking for it.
like
I feel
side by side, too.
Yeah.
That's what I
Usually
was
if you're
trying to
looking
get
for it,
to. Like there's, okay, I'll do it in movies. In movies, there are cinephiles
Yeah.
who care about things like this. And I'm sure there are gamophiles.
Yes.
This is really, really important to a niche audience.
Yes.
But I think
And they're the loudest
this is
ones.
tipping.
Oh, I think we're way past tipping. Like, I think when we come to diminishing returns, like, games have been there for a generation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like this
Put me
type
in
of
the damn game.
This type of stuff to me feels like people want to justify spending $1,400 on the latest graphic card.
Yes.
Or the companies want people to want to spend the money, so they show them these still images, which look great. You're not seeing this like this in the game because you're running past it or maybe looking through it for a clue for a minute, and then you're gone running through stuff you don't see.
I can even see it if your sale was to the game builders and designers and not necessarily the end users. Because like I would want to see my fully realized world if I have to literally like take
Yeah.
a camera and go through and check.
Yeah, you want
Every
to be
bit of it.
able to make something that looks as good. Doesn't necessarily mean that's how the game is going to run the best.
Yeah, but it also doesn't mean people will care, I think is kind of where I'm more landing.
Yeah, because
Of like, okay, this is the greatest horse that could ever be created, but now here comes a car.
Yeah.
And now we want the car.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
but I
give
don't
me the
feel like-
shittiest car over the greatest horse.
And it,
Like
Yeah,
there's going to be
that makes
some
sense,
big
yeah.
change that's going to happen.
it feels like they're putting a lot of resources and hardware into these very incremental changes. Like, and making it, making those pebbles look a little bit more realistic takes a lot more, like, brain power from the machine.
But I'll tell you what, it'll get you some Twitter conversations. And if
And
in your
podcasts talking
head,
about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
but if in your head, you're the head of Nvidia, and you're like engagement is up, you might just be thinking, oh, engagement is up. But if you're not looking at it as yes, engagement
Yeah,
on
not-
Twitter
not- you're
is
not
up,
why.
which is a microcosm,
Yeah.
then not everyone's going to care about this. That's the point I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, and like so, like I would
Ultra vegetation.
like in a perfect world, I would love to have my game have the highest level of graphical fidelity. Because sometimes I do stop and look at the game, so I'm like whenever there's a reflective surface in the game, I'm always like, am I going to be able to see my character in this in real time? If yes, I'm always happy.
Yeah.
If no, I'm not like, boo, how dare you? I'm disappointed a bit, but I'm not like, F this game.
Yeah.
But when I can see it and it does work, I enjoy it because that's something I've been able to see in gaming for most of my life.
Right.
So I like being able to see it a little. So like if I
Look how far we've come.
yes, so like if I can do that and lose 9 frames per second, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Now if I'm at 30 and I'm going to get out 21, no, because the game's unplayable.
Right.
If I'm going to go from 120 to 119, 109,
Oh, yeah, sure.
then yeah. So like
This is Quake 3.
What happened?
Now we're
They
watching
started playing
Quake
Quake.
3.
Yeah.
See, this is a real game.
Yeah.
But like this is also a game like you want the most frames possible because it's a Twitch shooter.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to make split more millisecond decisions. If you're playing like Indiana Jones, you're not doing that as much.
No, it's a cinematic sort
Yeah.
of game, and I feel like there's two different types of games now. Like there's the big, AAA crazy passive experience almost. Like you're
Are they
still
at
playing a game.
quadruple A yet?
What?
Are they at quadruple A yet?
Oh well, it depends. Budget wise, yes. They're saying
I just want a double A game.
that GTA 6 the budget is estimated to be at $2 billion.
It'll make it back in week 1. That's the thing
Billion!
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll probably make it back very soon.
Okay, so for in regards to ray tracing, I had a thought, and it'll go viral, so we're gonna do it. What is a game that you love, or a franchise that you love, that you want ray tracing and the ultimate experience in?
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Why?
Well, so like in a good Sonic, especially the 3D era, in a good Sonic game, you want to have that sense of speed when you're running fast as Sonic. Running fast and having real-time lighting reflecting that would look really cool. Especially if it's like Supersonic, the light from him is reflecting off the surfaces as you ride past. That would look really cool and add a little extra layer of like, this is cool, I'm Supersonic, I'm lighting everything up with this golden hue as I fly around.
Ethan, put live and learn underneath that
like,
while he's talking.
Whereas now, there's no difference to the environment if he's supersonic or not. Unless they add some kind of mask over it where it's just like everything glows yellow now. Like, so if that was like real time, or if he was like like you could see the light from him casting shadows and something as he passes. Even that split second, it would add more realism and more cool factor to it. I feel like
What was the latest Sonic game? Sonic Frontiers?
Sonic Generations again,
Yeah,
plus
the-
Shadow
the
or
one-
something.
the
But Sonic Forces was the big 3D game. But they remade Sonic Generations with Shadow, and we did the 3D parts of that too.
Dylan, can I see? No. Sonic Frontier was the open world.
Yeah,
remember?
that had like negative lighting.
yeah. But
Whatever
he's saying-
ray tracing
He's
is, has
asking
negative
what the
ray
most
tracing.
recent game was.
Yeah,
Like new game was.
New game
Can
is
you look
Frontiers.
up
Yeah,
Sonic
Frontiers.
Frontier Supersonic? I want to see if it did have reflection. But while he's doing that, we can keep
I
going.
can almost guarantee no, because I remember trying to play that game and watching somebody play that game, and I'm like, it's so flat and lifeless. Like the world is flat and lifeless, and popped in.
Now, if I'm thinking a game that I want like crazy lighting in and beautiful reflections, I'm thinking of something like.
So that's not
Oh.
doing it for you?
No, everything's fuzzy and far away. There's just like
know
barely
what?
a
You're
blob
right.
shadow. Like it looks like they turned off any lighting so they can get the game to run at a proper frame rate
You do get to be supersonic in this game, though.
for boss fights
Okay.
only.
And so it controls completely different from the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Interesting.
This is another reason I fell off this game. I wanted to like it
is
so much.
reflecting off of Giganto, though.
Giganto
No.
is his.
Giganto has some light on him. That's not reflective.
Oh God, I guess that's kind of a cheat move too, because Supersonic is gold. Most light.
Is white and yellow.
Yeah.
But when I
Okay,
think
so
of
this
game,
doesn't do it for you. You want something
No.
beyond that.
I would love to see like a Metroid Prime,
Boom!
something
That's what I was gonna say.
atmospheric where it's just you want to see that be sucked into it some more. Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say, and I was going to say it because of the visor feature.
Yes.
Remember the original Metroid Prime? You walked around and just scanned
Scan things,
everything.
yeah.
That's where this makes a lot of sense to me.
And you had imagine it with the X-ray vision, like everything actually having bones and you can see through it. It would be pretty cool.
Is ray tracing compatible with X-ray?
Well, yeah,
Like
it's rays that you are.
the rays are like going through things and not reflecting, pointedly not reflecting.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah. So I think that would be great, like a really high fidelity Metroid Prime.
Yeah,
Really cool.
I can't agree more because that's something where I am looking at every single detail. In Indiana Jones, is there any sort of like archaeology aspect
there's
to
a
it?
lot. That's my
So that
favorite thing
makes
about the
sense.
game is that you're.
So the
you're-
visuals do make sense.
Yeah, they totally make sense in
Yeah.
that game because you're going into tombs and you're figuring out puzzles and getting artifacts, but they make it fun. It's a great game for people who want to explore a really pretty environment. And I mean, that's not always what I want to do, but in that game, I do. And that's one of the things I think that pisses me off about games like Uncharted, where it's like action set piece after action set piece. I'm like, look at this big, beautiful thing. I can't explore it because I'm jumping through it in like a flaming Jeep. And it's just like, I want to slow down. Let me check this out. If you're going to make all this beautiful stuff and put all this time into geometry, let me play with it.
Like the new Tomb Raiders did a better job.
Yeah, I thought the new
with
Tomb
that,
Raiders
yeah.
did a really good job with that.
New 15 years.
Yeah.
But I also think it's every game that has ray tracing should also have the feature from Super Smash Brothers where you push start and you can zoom around and go anywhere you
Oh,
want
yeah.
and like look at shit. You know, where you can pause and look at it because that would solve your problem of beautiful set piece. Pause. Let me go everywhere with the virtual camera and look at stuff.
Yeah. Now, I
Like
think,
Pokemon Snap would be a great ray traced game.
I wonder how many people think like this though, because I imagine most people, I just want to play a game. I just want to blast through it.
Well, it's like there's a lot of games. I feel like Sony FC pushes it the most, but there's a lot of games that have a photo mode,
Yeah.
which often have a different renderer. Like they'll have ray tracing on for photo mode, off for gameplay, or different modes on and off for gameplay. Like Spider-Man has it. Yeah, just about every PlayStation 5 exclusive I could think of has a photo mode that has higher fidelity and like often ray tracing for that reason. So you can go and pan around scenes and take different
Yeah.
perspectives, see different images from different angles with the ray tracing. But when you're playing it, they turn it off for performance. Because otherwise, photo
Yeah.
modes are still image, so you don't have to worry about
They're like, oh,
frame rate.
yeah, now we care about frame rate because you're playing a game.
Yeah, yeah.
Dylan-
Which is kind of a compromise, but also I felt it's a cop out as well.
Can you look up King Bob Mario 64?
Did you
So-
do a ray tracing mod for Mario 64?
Well, here's the thing. I'm realizing King Bob. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, okay, so hold on.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll watch that animation in a minute. But I'm realizing I do care about this but in my cinematics, I don't know that I necessarily care when I'm playing.
Yeah, and the cinematics don't need to be real time, right?
That's right.
It could be
Yeah,
pre-rendered,
they can do all sorts of
which
tricks.
is
To
Which
your
they
point,
often have
because
done,
you're
yeah.
missing it. I want to see what a director is showing me at like an optimal look or in a way I've never seen before. So particularly with like Mario Brothers and things from when we were kids, we had to imagine past an 8-bit sprite. So now it's fun to see like, here's what it would look like if we used today's technology on this thing. So in that regard, I do appreciate things like ray tracing and things like that. But yeah, in game, do I care or would I rather an experience? I think I'd rather the experience, right?
Well,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it shouldn't have to be
either
either
or
or.
scenario.
like
But I would argue it is.
Yeah, it definitely is.
part of it is, at least from my semi-outsider point of view, a lot of it is because they're focusing on making the graphics cards focus on AI stuff and crypto stuff, which is a different muscle
Well,
for the card to flex than for graphics like ray tracing and such.
so that's where a lot of the controversy comes into play. And should I jump into that, or do you want to watch this first?
Here, let's watch this animation and then we'll jump into that. So this is what we wish graphics cards were being used for. It's that animation epic battle. If we can get volume on this, that would be cool.
I haven't seen this.
Yeah, about to say I haven't
I
seen.
think it's muted on the YouTube. Oh.
And to be clear, this isn't just like, oh, there's ray tracing. Like, these are fully modeled, like a lot more polygons being thrown around.
Yeah, and this is where I actively enjoy.
Like a high
Graphics.
fidelity.
Well,
Oh boy,
Oh, no.
that's okay.
Okay.
gotta restart the computer.
We're doing it live.
You put in post, right? We just keep talking as if it's playing.
Oh, it's
That's-
beautiful. But so
We'll jump
what's-
into the issue.
What's interesting about so the
controversy.
50 series came out, and Jensen Huang, who is the CEO of Nvidia, is unveiling it on stage, and he's a consummate marketer, showman. He was an engineer as well, but he's got his leather jacket on. It is his like kind of his signature item. He's got like his leather jackets get more intricate every year, and people are like, well, every $1 billion he accrues, he gets another ridge on his leather jacket.
That's cool.
But he's up there and he's like, oh, the 50 series is going to be great. It's going to blow away the 40 series. And the high end, the medium range version of the 50 series is going to blow away the high end of the 40 series from a year ago. And people are like, what? No, that's crazy. It's going to be like half the price. Like, how's that going to happen? The answer is it's not happening. The way they're doing it is through AI. And there's basically these cores that are just made for running AI simulations on. And they make up frames. It's called, some people call derisively fake frames. Frame gen. So you take, you standard a rasterized image, the game generates one frame and then it generates the next one. And they have a technology where it's like, well, we're just going to fudge what it would be in the middle.
They tween it.
They tween it. Yes, effectively, a big fancy way
Yeah, use a
of
flash
tweening it.
terminology.
Yes,
Flash
which is
terminology,
short
yeah.
for in-betweening.
Yeah.
And this is different than frame blending?
It's similar to frame blending.
Okay.
But more hi-fi. So blending is usually what they call it on like a television, right?
Oh, that with the motion smoothing.
The
does.
motion smoothing,
It
and
blends
it's
it. Yeah.
akin to that. Everyone hates that. Most people who like games and care about television technology are like, you turn off motion smoothing, it's the worst. But now Nvidia's like, well, it's not the same. It's different. We're doing it a smarter way, and it quadruples your frame rate. And so they're saying, like, yeah, now you can basically run the same games at quadruple the frame rate because we're making up the frames in between. Now, it's interesting because you look at this stuff, and now we have seen side-by-sides because these are out. And it's not perfect. There are artifacts.
Yeah. Like with aforementioned Spider-Man 2. That's one of the reasons they had the artifacts, because the way that they tweened it led for it to not. It was just incorrectly. I'm trying to technically describe something. I don't know the technical terms for it. They were like forgetting.
You're an executive on stage at E3.
The game was forgetting not to dither shadows that weren't fully rendered.
Okay.
And so it would get stuck. Dithering would be stuck on because it forgot to not dither it.
You see this a lot when there's a pattern or a static or something that's moving. Like you can see a distortion. And Cyberpunk is a game that came out that lots of people use as a graphical showpiece. And they were noticed if you put on the frame interpolation, whatever Nvidia's calling it. You're driving a car, the bumper sometimes like there'll be two bumpers and then there'll be one bumper and it will like split. There's a lot of things with fan blades. If you have spinning giant fans in buildings in Cyberpunk, it can't really render that right. So it'll start spinning and like, oh, it has 8 blades. Oh, it has 4 blades. Now it has 8 blades again. Like it pops in and out.
Issue that like AI generated video has for
it's
other
essentially
purposes.
what they would refer to as hallucinations in standard like real tech stuff, but it's graphical. So it's trying to figure out like, all right, here's what I think is going to happen next. Oh, that's not what happened next. We got to correct. So it's trying to guess. It's trying to make up what's in between the frame that came out.
Are there ghosts in the machine, Chris?
There are ghosts in the machine. Yeah,
That's what this sounds like exactly.
and it depends what you're looking
We're
for.
going to assume this is the beginning of its consciousness
Now,
because it has to guess.
the argument now, though, is like, well, it does make the game feel smoother to a lot of people, and it looks great if you don't know what to look for. To the layman, you might be like, oh, this game runs like butter, and it looks great. This is wonderful technology. But the nerds are looking at it, and they're like, whoa, I see this popping bumper. I see these weird fan blades. Like, these are fake frames, and they're selling us fake frames for all this money. Burn Nvidia! Burn Nvidia!
Yeah.
I don't have enough time to be so upset about something like that.
Yeah.
I just don't. I mean, it's amazing that some people have gone so hardcore into this, but how can you live a life and be bothered by these things?
I mean, it also makes people a lot of money or attention via views or clicks to get mad at this stuff too.
What is this called? It's not testing. It's, I guess you're game breaking.
What's being called?
Like if you're looking for these flaws.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Or you're trying
pixel
to create
peeping.
these.
Yeah, I mean, that is what some people call pixel peeping.
peepers?
Yeah.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah. Digital Foundry uses that term a good amount. But yeah, just like really hunting for imperfections. And
Yeah, like that's Digital Foundry's whole deal.
yeah, which is why
Which I appreciate. I
I
always
love
love
to
that
watch
they do
them.
it. Yeah.
But at the same time, a lot of the stuff they're talking about is like, I would not see this if there wasn't a side by side and we're analyzing it frame by frame. Like, then it's a metagame, right? Now the game is like seeing how well the game can run and how pretty I can theoretically make it, but that's not fun necessarily. Like, I'm not going to tell somebody who wants to get into games like, oh, you gotta turn this shit on, and like it doesn't really make sense to me.
So, and like to answer your question some more, like another reason some people care about this is there's a lot of discourse, at least that I see online a lot, about how gaming is an expensive hobby, even though it's been games have been the same price for like 30 years.
Yeah.
For the most part, but people are like, oh, it's so expensive. I don't want to pay $60 for this AAA game if it's going to have fake frames in it.
Yeah.
Like as a
I
reason
paid for all the frames.
Yeah, like
Is that
as
what we're talking about?
Yeah, like as
Yes.
a reason to talk about it. Even though
I paid for all the frames.
like, so you get a lot of people that complain about stuff like this that weren't going to buy the game, didn't buy the game, are complaining that they know it's a thing because somebody pointed out it was a thing. Because somebody pixel peeped and they noticed it and were like, I can't believe this thing exists, but they weren't buying it anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's
is
the controversy. I think this is a blowback almost from the blast processing days.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Like, it's marketing.
Yeah, the marketing, they're like, it lied to me. It lied to us. But I saw through it. I know you're lying to me. Then don't fall for it. Like,
Yeah.
I guess they could be trying to be generous. They're
Lie
trying
to
to let
me
other
and
people
make me
know that
feel
they're being
good.
lied to. But they're not saying like, hey, open your eyes, sheeple. They're making fake frames and selling it to you for the same price they've been selling for 30. Like,
But I think in terms of what you were saying, you're totally right. Like, Nvidia is like, oh, well, they're talking about us. This is front of mind for a lot of people,
Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
lot of the nerds who are in our demographic. So, like, I don't care if they're crapping on us. Like, they're thinking about it.
yeah, F Nvidia. But I'm not buying an AMD card. Here's my money, Nvidia. Like,
It's a
But
really
also,
interesting
it's a
place.
niche group that even cares.
I mean, it's a niche group, but it's a large niche group. Like, PC gaming is, well, I thought it was very big. Chris told me a figure earlier that he read
So
that surprised me.
I was a little wrong in that figure, but
Okay.
by a factor of 10. But it's still
okay,
smaller
so-
than you would think. No. So, you know the Steam Deck, right?
I do.
The Steam Deck, they talk about it a lot on the internet. It's got a really big following. I feel like it's had a lot of cultural impact, especially amongst PC gamers. And the people are like, oh, it's the Switch killer. It's going to kill the Switch. And the Switch has sold over 100 million units, right? How many do you think the Steam Deck has sold? Like ballpark, wild ballpark.
1 million.
It's 6 million. 6 million, though. It's been out for 3 years now.
We get 3 years, 2 iterations.
Not exactly a killer.
Not exactly a killer. Now, it's done very well for its niche, but it's not a huge niche.
Yeah, and there's also other companies that started biting them.
Yeah.
Asus, I think, has their,
Asus
which was like
has.
2 or 3 times the price. It was very expensive, which basically did the same thing.
But
which,
these are specifically their handheld
handheld
gaming PCs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, while the Steam Deck was like one that could run even modern games on low settings well, like
Yeah.
modern 2025 games on low settings well. It's not a graphical powerhouse anymore.
No.
I don't know if it ever was, but definitely isn't anymore. Which makes it more like the Switch.
Yeah. It's like kind of like a more powerful Switch in terms of like hardware. Now, it's Steam Deck's really cool because you can also get in the guts of it. So if you really want to nerd out, like, oh, it's running Linux and I can boot to a Linux desktop in it, and you can do a lot of piracy on this thing.
So
I haven't.
So
actually.
Dreamcast 2.
That's what I was thinking in my head. I was literally waiting to say that. That's amazing. I was literally like, okay, so the Steam Deck is the Dreamcast.
You can run
It's
Dreamcast
kind of like-
games on the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's between 2 eras. Like like it looks better than the Switch, but isn't on par with true PC gaming.
PCs.
Or are we saying it actually is?
So it depends what level of PC gaming. I would say
It
it's
could have
probably
been when it came out for some games.
right now.
I
I'd
feel
say it's probably akin to a modern, like low end gaming rig.
Like if you built it 4 or 5 years ago for like $800.
Yeah, and so it runs great for its screen. And
Oh, and with a
that's-
smaller monitor, yeah.
Yeah.
Because everything's the graphic power is designed for that screen, right?
exactly. So, which I think it's 900p is the screen, which is lower than like a 1080p screen and lower by far than a 4K
So,
screen.
so it's like half a K.
Yeah, but that's one of the nice things about a handheld is like it doesn't have to have as high a resolution because it's tinier, and it doesn't have to have as much horsepower because it doesn't have to push as many pixels
Because it's small, yeah.
because it's smaller.
What's the Switch 2's display?
It's 1080p, I believe, is what.
1080, yeah. It's definitely not
Yeah,
2K or 4K or something.
no. I
You
mean,
know what?
which
They
would
should
be
have gone to 2K. That would have been smart.
that
What,
tiny
would it?
screen though.
Yeah,
Like
would
it's,
No, 2K, not 4K. 2K.
Yeah, but
Still.
for the little screen, like would it? Like I think my phone is 2K. I can't tell difference between that and 1080p, but I think it's technically 2K, and I think that's dumb.
I think like it's a diminishing returns. I think like 1080p in a screen that size is about as small as you want it. Now, Apple people might disagree when they're just like, "Well, I need my Retina display," which doesn't mean anything either. It's just
Well, that was pretty clever marketing. I remember
Yeah.
when that came out. Retina display.
That's- is
and
that
it
even
worked.
2K?
It was 1440.
And the thing is, like each device has a different resolution, but they still call it Retina, and they're like, "Oh, it refers to
Wait,
the."
do they still? I haven't heard
Yeah, I
that
think
term in
they
like
s-
10 years.
Oh, really? I think it's gone. Oh, you know what? I haven't bought like a. Yeah, I haven't bought like a MacBook Pro or an iMac Pro or anything in a
I
while.
believe it's how they still brand like the standalone monitors, and I think I'm not a
You
super Mac
use
guy.
your retinas, so they're not lying.
It's true. But it was very successful marketing, especially with the Apple people. Like, well, I remember I was a web developer at the time, and people were like, well, all web developers need to change all of their assets so they work with the Retina display. And I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, and you look at your users, and you're just like, all right, 4% of the people coming to this website use a Mac. I'm not redoing all the graphics for you 4%.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Now, things have changed in a lot of ways, but yeah. It's just, the marketing works. And it works with Nvidia. Recently, what's kind of fascinating about the GPU realm is that there's been a new contender who is also an old contender. So it's historically been Nvidia and AMD for 2 decades.
Talking about Voodoo?
No.
IBM,
Intel.
Intel. Okay, I
Intel
was in
now
that world.
ships a GPU.
I thought Voodoo was coming back. I was like, I remember those.
And Intel is actually going after the low-end market. So they're selling affordable GPUs, and you can get their latest, highest Phi one at MSRPs for like $250.
Wait, so it's higher than the onboard graphics?
Yes.
Like really? Oh, okay.
Like you can play.
Which have been pretty good. for low end recently.
Yeah,
I
and
thought,
unless you're playing like bleeding edge games, like you can get a really nice 1440p performance out of these cards. And it's an untapped market because right now Nvidia and AMD ignore that like $250 to honestly $400, $500 world, which is crazy to think about. Like, oh, a GPU to get a decent one, it starts at 600, bro. Like, that sucks.
Yeah.
or you buy PlayStation 5.
Right.
'Cause
Or
you
you,
don't-
this is one of those interesting times where like getting a console makes a lot of financial sense. For the graphics,
Which
you
is
get,
wild to say.
yeah.
Really?
But yeah, a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X, like it's a great deal for the money. Now, when they came out, we are just like $600. Oh
I
my
can only
God.
play those games. Like, why would I do that to myself? But now we're like, I wish I could just spend $600.
But when you're spending like baseline $600 to $1,200 on just a GPU for PC gaming,
That's just to make the games almost look as good as, or a little bit better than PS5 and Xbox Series X.
You gotta-
Sometimes they don't even look as
Oh.
good unless you get an $800 card.
you got to really look.
and you got to tweak too. Like you can't. It's not out the box. Like, oh, it looks as good as that. Just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
So the consoles are great. Diminishing returns there though, because honestly, like I don't have a PS5. I didn't get a PS4. I was PC gaming through most of it, but I had a PS3. But the thing is, like when the PS5 came out, I couldn't tell a big difference between that and the 4.
Yeah.
And for a long time,
That was a big thing.
there are very few games that you can't play on the PS4 that are out on PS5. Like I think it's still maybe 20. I don't think it's even up to 30 yet.
From what I remember hearing from like through a couple games, like through Destiny, basically, like I think there was some kind of encouragement, if not a mandate, to make sure any PS5 game could still work on PS4 in case it went to port it.
But what's interesting is that a lot of people still they lined up for this PS5. It came out during the pandemic, first of all, so
Yeah.
everything was wacky.
Yeah, they lined up and bought it with like a selection of 5 exclusive games or something like that. 6 exclusive games.
Because you got to have the newest thing.
Well, and the thing is, like, it's like, well, you have this 4K television with HDR. You want to take full advantage of it. You need a PS5, and arguably, if you want to output to like a 4K resolution, you do. The thing is, a lot of those games don't natively output to 4K even still. Like they're upscaling to some degree. It's like, oh, it's 1440 and we're smoothing it
We're
up.
embiggening it.
Embiggening it.
Embiggening it. That's
Yeah,
funny.
how does upscaling works? I still don't quite understand. Because from how they describe it, how it's marketed, it's like, oh, we take and render it at a higher resolution than your graphics, then you can put out smoothly. They would shrink it back down and show it to you. But how's that working?
so they render it, at whatever resolution. It's lower than the native display.
I mean, every time I look at it, so like if I look at a setting in a game, I have a 1080p monitor.
Yeah.
It'll be like you can render it at 2K, at 4K, and then show it on your 1080p monitor.
Oh, you
I
can't.
don't understand how that.
So that makes it run slower.
Okay.
So that's like
That's
but-
utter nonsense. That's telling you to.
Sorry, that's super. Is that super sampling then? And
Yes.
not upscale?
So
Okay,
super
okay.
different things.
That's two
Super
different
sampling. Super sampling is when you run it. Yeah, you render it at a higher resolution than your display and shrink it down. And what that helps you do, in theory, you don't need to worry about anti-aliasing so much.
Oh.
So anti-aliasing is when you have an edge and it's jagged, right? You're like, oh, I made a diagonal line. Inherently, with pixels, you're making a curved line or something with squares. So it's never going to look quite right. Anti-aliasing uses values, basically shades it so it looks round to your eye. Now, that's not inherently how the game outputs. But if you super sample something, you make something twice the size and then shrink it down, it automatically does it. But it arguably does it in a more effective way. We're getting into real
But you need to
nitty-gritty stuff here. So
But I could boil it down like super sampling's more for visual
Yes.
quality, and upscaling's more for performance.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's a good way to think of it.
I mean, upscaling to me it's almost pointless. It's almost pointless unless. So here's how we use it: is if I have a 4K timeline and I expect it to go out in 4K, and someone gives me a piece of media and says, "Oh, this has to go into this commercial, but it's only 1080." I need to upres that specific file,
Yeah.
To make it
so
match
that
up with
it'll
the
match
timeline.
the rest of them. But you'll always see that it's never going to be lossless.
It'll
as
look a
far as
little
up-
fuzzier.
Unless you use the
However-
latest Nvidia cards. And
Well, that's what it is. Is now they're going to. The problem is the amount of pixels, right? When you upres it, it still only had, that 1080 in there. So what AI is going to do is fill in the blanks, which works well when you're trying to fix one clip among plenty of other clips.
And it probably-
is largely pointless if every clip is 1080 and you're up-resing that to 4K.
Yeah.
That makes no
Well,
sense.
yeah, I was noticing there was a controversy I saw recently about
Unless you're trying to lie to
or-
your clients.
like about I think it's Roseanne and A Different World, two '90s shows that I think were shot on tape.
Mhm.
On
On film.
On film.
Yeah.
And then they were trying to put upscale them to 4K, and they used AI to do it, and there's lots of artifacts and lots of hallucinations, and all the text is illegible, if not gibberish, because you couldn't read it before. You couldn't see it before because it was lower resolution, or saw it on TV interpolated. But now it's just they blew it up as gibberish as opposed to because it was fully AI.
Well,
upscaled.
this is a whole lane. This is a whole lane of a lot of stuff, game shows, things like that. They were shot on film, or they were shot on. They were just shot in a different way. Some of them were legitimately shot on film, and then the film was put into the TV processing Avid, and then they would do it. Which means if those negatives are still available,
They could have used those.
but it's not even an upscale. It means it was recorded in 4K plus because it's film.
It's an analog film, right?
Right.
And you can. It's
But here's what's going on: is people are making upreses of the first digital version that was released.
So about crushed
this is
it, and then they're upscaling the crushed thing.
this is Star Wars. This is why everyone's up in arms of Star Wars, because the original Star Wars print already was 4K.
yeah.
When they released the first special edition, they released a 1080 version and got rid of the prints. People were able to find them, and fan sites figured it out. But then when it came time to up-res them for the first time, they were up-resing the special editions from 1080 to 4K instead of going to the original film that was already 4K.
Miserable.
Horrible. But luckily, there's brilliant nerds all over the internet who found the original 35 millimeters and put it back together.
Was
the
it
way it was
Topher Grace
originally
one of those
intended.
nerds?
There's
Yeah, well, Topher Grace re-edited it.
Yeah, he read it.
We're talking about people who sourced and found the original prints,
Nice.
and then digitized it at full 4K ability.
Had they handled the Han shooting first?
Oh, they kept
It's
that
in
the same.
there.
It's despecialized.
It's the original.
Nice.
No,
nice,
it is.
nice.
yeah. No, it's called the despecialized
Yeah,
edition, and
that's
Han shoots first.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
they took out all the CG mess. There's no CG, Java at all.
But there is the original Jabba the Hutt, who was a man. It was just a fat guy walking around. I'm serious.
Yeah.
And they put a Jabba the Hutt over top of him in the special edition. But what's interesting is that was shot with an actor in the 70s, scrapped, and then in the special editions put in, and they put a rendering on top of that guy.
Okay.
But the original Jabba was just like some guy with white hair who looks a lot like Archie Bunker.
Well, there's a lot of problems now with
geez,
those
Luke.
early CG movies, like stuff like that. They shot it on digital, right? So you think of things like the Phantom Menace. Was it that or the Clone Wars?
Clone Wars was shot
first
on
one shot
the
on
HVX
digital.
200.
Yeah, and so it's tapped. It's like 2K, I think, for the resolution, and that's what they output the CG to as well. So it means if you want to get a 4K version of that, there is no better source.
No, and that's yes, exactly right.
Yeah. That sounds like the issue that.
And so the CG looks awful when you blow it up.
Yeah, it sounds like an issue that's happened with. I think it's Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I think was shot on video, or the effects were composite to video.
Yeah.
So they can't upscale it because you're taking the video and just blowing it up. It's going to look gross.
Well, so this is a big problem with. It's a huge problem if you have SD video, standard definition video. You are pretty much fucked as far as getting that up to modern. So you'll just have to watch it in standard. Some people do a pretty good job with upreses, but if it was filmed in standard definition video, it's kind of over.
And I would argue, just let me watch it in standard def video. Like I just
Yes,
see it as
I
is.
agree.
I'd rather see that than some.
But that's what they
monstrosity.
intended. That's also how they intended you to see it.
viewed,
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like unfair when you watch it in a different format. But with what's really interesting is there's a camera called the Arri Alexa, and it's like it shoots in 1080p. But it is what every movie was shot on in like most of the
Like the aughts.
yeah, most of the aughts and the 2010s. Most movies were still shot on this thing, and up until recently it was king. But all of those movies, there is no upscale version of them. They are 1080p, 1080p, 1080p.
That's the source.
That's right. So anything that's done, if you have a favorite movie from 2000, I'm going to say 2010 to 2017, it was shot on this camera. I guarantee it. And there is no way to do a clean 4K version except for the folks who still shot on film.
So no. Oh,
so
wait.
Memento, you can have a 4K version. Absolutely.
I was about to make a joke of no 4K Scott Pilgrim, but Edgar Wright might have shot that on film actually because
That's a good question. Can we Google that?
He seemed like he might have used film for that because he's Edgar Wright.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Was Scott Pilgrim versus the World shot on film? It might have been. But that's the thing is like, if you're upscaling it, shot on both film and digital.
Okay.
Oh, the Ariflex. Okay, cool. Yeah, so there was a time during that time period of, I think like 2008 to 2018, where they were shooting it on both because of this issue of like, for speed, you could get it, but as far as archival and true beauty and having a 4K version, you don't have it, which is why all the movie theaters, that was 1080. When all the movie theaters went digital, you absolutely 100% lost picture quality.
Yeah.
You were watching worse looking film. Like you were watching upscaled.
Now, some people might argue, though, like, oh, but it looks so crisp and bright, and it did probably have a brighter quality to it. It didn't have the imperfections that film can have, right? There's no film grain. There's not hairs and cigarette burns on the
Traumatic
thing.
aberration. I think.
It never broke in the middle of the movie.
Never broke in the middle of the movie, but you're limited to, this is a 180 pixel grid,
You
right?
got it.
That's all it is. Actually,
More
one
than
more thing.
1080. 180 pixels, that'd be.
Yeah, 1080. Sorry. Look up real quick.
Game and Watch
A
movies.
sword
Yeah.
in the stone, 4K ugly.
Sword in the
Stone. So
ugly.
Disney released 4K versions of a lot of their classic animated films, and they did a terrible job.
Why?
That's why they're making it live action.
That would have been on film. Why?
Right? It was all originally shot in film.
Oh,
but
no, it's but I'm looking at this.
yeah,
The HD masters look better than the Blu-rays, right?
yes.
Because they created the 4K Blu-ray off of the HD,
And they
not
used-
off of the film.
Yeah, and they used they used
So lazy.
upscaling, AI upscaling, basically for a lot of this stuff. But it should be something that looks really easy to make it look good because these are like really simple images compared to like a full color, anything.
But this is your boy. This is your boy, the Nvidia guy. This is Leather Jacket Man.
Yeah,
all over the place.
Jensen
It's like
Wong.
we're gonna AI this instead of doing the harder thing, but to still come out with the
Kills
right.
the line quality. This hurts me, man. Like, because I know that animators spent like years making this happen.
But it was photographed in film.
It was photographed in film.
Like they photographed this. That's how animation worked forever. There's no reason for animation ever to have a single error in it as far as from the original print to now. There's going to be errors in the original print because you could get blood, you could get sweat, you could get hair.
There's so much
in the
more
print, but
character in
up-res
the
it.
original one. It just like blots it out. And it reminds me actually when they do those weird upscalers in like Super Nintendo emulators when you're
Yeah.
like, oh, let me make it more cartoony. Yeah. Oh, it's bad. It's so bad. I can't believe that Disney sold it for money.
So-
there was a time where I would understand that. But again, it's also like some nerd just told them the wrong thing because I can technobabble my way into saying, oh, the digital HD up res to 4K is going to be better for you than going all the way back to that film stock and processing that. And it is cheaper to do.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
it this way.
Way cheaper.
But you've lost. It's a fool's errand.
What were you going to say?
I don't have as discerning of an eye as you two do for like visual art.
You want to know which is which?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the good one, right?
No, the right one is the upscaled horrible one.
Oh wow! Yeah, I don't see a difference besides this is darker and has smoother lines than the one on the left.
Look at like you can see pencil work in the left.
He's
Well,
looking at it like a pencil.
Yeah,
like an artist.
Yeah, like now that you said that, like especially with the owl, I can see that the left has more character.
Yeah.
But
But
it also
this
looks
is how they cheated.
Yeah, but-
All they did was add contrast and saturation.
yeah. So like this looks like somebody chased over everything with a marker.
Exactly. And I think
But like not having seen this movie, I don't know if it's I didn't know if it's supposed to look like it was traced with a marker or
But
not,
if
'cause I
they
haven't
did
seen
this
it.
with
Right.
AI, it's because
Like,
it's coming
because
up
the
with
left-
those. It's blending it so that it understands where it's going.
Yeah, but like the left one also could realistically look like they left out detail if it was intended to have thicker lines.
You know where the real fuck up
And
is
I haven't
here?
seen the movie, like I said, so that's why I was like, I actually don't know.
The real screw up with these is someone will take this a step too far, and they did this for a couple of movies, where they took a 1080p, 24 frames per second, up-resed it to 4K 60. That is crazy because now you're
Some
adding
fake frames, man.
Yeah, that's a ton of frames that you're just adding.
And then everything's just morphing around on screen all the time. Like
Yeah.
people's faces just like blurry
but
messes.
they were doing that because 4K 60 became a gimmick. I have no idea why.
Apparently, they did a lot of terrible transfers for like the Terminator movies. A lot of the big ones.
Yeah, Terminator 2 is legendary.
Oh, the way their eyes look.
Yeah, I see what you mean now.
Yeah, it's like that marker tracing.
Yeah, but also part of it, I think, is this display is just clear enough
Yeah.
that I'm also like,
This display is probably frame blending.
well, yeah, like it just looks very clear. So they look very similar to me, except the left has more hand drawn character. But I don't know if it's supposed to look hand drawn character.
But a
Yeah.
child would enjoy the one on the right more.
You're right. It's brighter and more
I mean,
colorful.
Brighter, more colors. That's right.
Oh yeah, slightly brighter.
Yeah.
Unless it's my angle to the screen, it barely looks brighter to me.
It's a little brighter, but it's not.
Like the colors are more
crazy.
saturated, I should say, rather than
What's
brighter.
that bird's name?
So that's Wart. That's King Arthur as a child. He's been transformed into a bird.
Oh, okay.
Merlin. You would enjoy this movie
Yeah,
actually.
I
It's
never.
about Merlin.
What's that owl's name?
For some reason, I never knew it was about.
Archimedes.
Yeah, I never knew it was about King Arthur. Else I would have seen it as a kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
The kid's name is Arthur.
I didn't know.
It was named
It was
Wart.
the 80s.
They call him Wart.
I didn't know
in the-
anything about the movie besides it's called A Sword in the Stone.
I
And
just
I was
think
like,
it's-
this. I was like, that's not King Arthur.
I just know the
And
movie has
turned
the
away.
weirdest ending.
Yeah.
It's this.
They pulled hands
This
like,
is the
"Oh,
ending.
You're going to be the king of England, buddy."
Stop.
Yeah. End
But it
of
ends.
movie.
What's the cover art for this? I'm pretty sure it's not anything that looks like he's King Arthur as a kid.
That's because he's a little bitch.
He's learning the way of the world, and basically Merlin is like, "Hey, all these medieval guys are all backwards and brutish, and I'm going to teach you to be a kinder, gentler, smarter person."
Is this Don Bluth?
No, it's Disney.
It is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I think this is the box art I saw was just a kid and
Yeah.
some wizards. And
That's
I'm like,
how
that
a lot
doesn't mean
of
nothing to
60s
me.
stuff was.
If I saw this one, I'd be like, oh, it's King Arthur. He's pulling a sword out the stone. So I'm not showing this to the camera, but you can imagine what I mean. This screen is not going to get upscaled.
Ethan can pull it up. Like, so, just,
I just don't want Ethan trying to upscale my phone and super stamp.
if he
super
does, it'll just be
stample
our
it.
faces like this.
Yeah.
Like just that, because that would be upscaled.
But so again, it's in the eye of the beholder, right? Because some people are into this, some people are not into it. Maybe, like you're saying, maybe a kid. Honestly, it's the adult who's buying it, and the adult's like,
Yeah.
"Well, I got this 4K television. I'm gonna buy the 4K one."
This
Yeah.
one bothers me a little bit more fundamentally because technologically speaking,
It
it's
shouldn't
an
have
error.
happened. Yeah.
It should be, 4K film to 4K down to HD, not 4K
Just enlarged,
film
it's not
to
blown
HD
up
and
or
then
zoomed in or
up-res the
something.
HD
Yeah.
digital.
Yeah, I just want to be very clear. I want to be very clear to the audience. I'm not saying this looks better. I just didn't know which one was which.
Yeah, no, and I think that's fair. I think it's a good example of just how a lot of this stuff is super nitpicky, and it doesn't necessarily matter all that much.
But this meeting is why that kind of stuff happens. Someone had a boardroom meeting just like this and said what you said, and the techno nerd over here is kind of like, yeah, but if you do that, you're doing this, and that other person's like,
yeah,
yeah,
it's
but
like,
our
but
kids
it's-
gonna buy
yeah.
it, and can I do it cheaper? Yes.
Yeah, it's going to make us.
Up-resing
Yeah,
from
which one makes
digital
us
to
more
digital.
money? Which one saves us more production money?
And you can do
it
it
like
faster.
that.
You
Do
can
it
do
like
it
that.
faster.
I still
HD
get
to
money
4K
now for
digital is
this,
faster.
or I get money tomorrow for that. Maybe less. I want money now for this, please.
That's
Like,
exactly it.
And I think
Yeah.
the thing that galls nerds about it is that you're sold like, well, you're getting this fancy technology that's supposed to look better. It's supposed to be better. And if it's a step back in any way, that's an affront to our souls, right? It's just like, oh, I'm watching this on my 4K TV, but it looks like it.
But even the way we're talking right now, saying 4K TV, that's not normal people. Normal people got a 1080 big screen. 15 years
Well-
ago, it's still in their house.
I mean, that's me
I
too.
mean, ideally,
yeah, I'm
TVs
still rocking my
break a lot
1080p plasma
now.
at home. It's my main display.
people are probably on their third 4K TV now.
That's true. Oh yeah, they're so disposable.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, I got this for
I
300.
built a house out of 4K TVs. It was cheaper than
It's
lumber.
cheaper than really.
It is cheaper than lumber.
You get you get a 50-inch TV for $300 or something now.
Check out this bunk bed. It's insignia.
Yeah, we used to go just like I got a TV, a 1080p TV for free. It's like a 57, 60-inch. It still works. Had it for like 15 years now. It started like bugging out recently. I think the CMOS battery's dying. But I was like, it looks great. It still runs everything great. He has a plasma TV that's 1080p. It's what's it?
I'm ready for the walls.
72? 60.
That's
a 60
so mine's
inch.
not 60, mine's 50 something then. Mine's slightly smaller than his. Well, yours has giant bezels too. Maybe that's
it's got big
why
bezels.
mine looks smaller.
It's got a nice like 3-inch, 2 to
He's got
3
nice
big
chunky
bezels.
plasma. But for 20 years or
Chunky
so. right?
plasma.
18 years.
So
something
you're
like
looking
that?
forward to a wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready for Wallavision.
Have you checked out the Samsung
Yeah, it's
frame or whatever?
I mean,
hate it so
even
much. I
checked
hate the
out
idea of it so
the
much.
volume. Like there's no reason
Oh,
that can't be your wall.
So,
Like one wall in your living room.
you just start from the Mandalorian in
screen.
here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the plan. But I'm
Oh,
just
yeah.
saying, I mean, it's getting cheaper and cheaper. Eventually, it's going to be like a paste that you put on the wall. Actually,
mean,
they have that. They have bio LED TVs that is like a gook that kind of like goes around and like somehow the electrons and everything know how to get into their formation to show you stuff. But it's a goo.
That's crazy.
It's a slime. Slime molds
Yeah.
are really smart, apparently. So you can train them to do stuff like that, I think. Or somebody in the future did it and sent the technology back here.
I like how deep we got into fake
That's how you
frames
get
and fake
Skynet.
upscaling because
Yeah.
that's really what this technology is about now. It's like, how can we make this thing work on this new technology? And like, that's backwards to me. Like, build a new thing for the new technology. Why are we doing this?
Well, that's what I meant about the horse. Is like it
Yes.
feels like we're still trying to grow the best horse. Someone just make the fucking car. Like, let's go to the next thing. Put me in the game. I
Yeah.
saw Nick Arcade when I was a kid. They got to go in the game. I want to go in the game. Put me in the game. Don't let me out.
I don't
Have
know,
it actually be
I don't know
challenging. If you don't
wanna
get to the next
let
level,
out.
you stay in here.
All right, we're getting hardcore dystopia now. I like it.
Yeah. Like Pac-Man.
You just want to live in the shadow dimension. Well, I forget what they call them.
No, time needs
saw
to
an ad for it
stop
the other day
while
and I
you're
got so
in the
mad.
game.
Oh.
Once they figured out time dilation where, I want to...
Oh, so you just want to Black Mirror yourself in a game.
No, I want it. Yes, but I want it to be like the time area in Dragon Ball Z.
The hyperbolic.
The
time
Hyperbolic
chamber.
time chamber. Stop
Dude.
doing anything except for working on hyperbolic time chambers, so I can play all the games and watch every movie that ever exists and come out. It's only been an hour in the real world.
I would pay so much money for a hyperbolic time chamber.
It's time. It's time to do this, guys. Enough. We don't need ray tracing.
Yeah.
We need hyperbolic time
but dude,
chambers.
I am with
Before
you.
you wish for that, watch the original Dragon Ball. Because apparently Goku almost
Which
died.
version?
'Cause apparently Goku almost dies or something in it. And I haven't seen it. And I'm like, I didn't know it was dangerous. I only saw it in Z where they're super powerful just living there for a year. But apparently he almost died.
Really?
Yeah, like that's why they never talk about it until
Well,
like,
Gotenk
way
screamed
into
his
it.
way. No. Super Boost screamed his way out of it.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense.
It's Dragon Ball.
But also, Dragon Ball, if you want to go down this rabbit hole, viewers at home, go on Totally Not Mark and look up his thoughts of upscales. There has upscales and re-renders. There has never been a successful Dragon Ball re-render from the original material. And now it's become this this project, just like Star
Yeah.
Wars, where they're starting to do it.
I would argue though you don't need to
But
do
none
it.
of the home releases look good.
Yeah.
Every home release looks like shit and everything's green.
Like I would
Why?
argue what they should do is if they want to do a re-release, just render it all in what they use for the video games. Like the new Dragon Ball Z video games.
that's
The cutscenes
sacrilegious.
they look very good. They're like Xenoverse. Like it looks very good for fidelity wise, and it's very accurate to the designs. Just 3D. You
Yeah.
just take that and just re-render the entire show in 3D and destroy Manion.
Akira Toriyama
And destroy
drew every
Mania.
frame himself.
Akira
He
Toriyama's-
died for our sins.
Yeah, he's dead. You could do it now.
Oh.
You can direct all hate mail towards Talk at youngjunk.com.
Hey, I'm
Like,
not
comment,
in Panama
subscribe.
Papers, so
That is dumb. I should have a little web page for each one of our shows on youngjunk.com with hard-hitting questions from... We could be like the Nintendo Power editors responding to viewer... I wrote in once because I needed help with Mega Man X, and they responded and gave me like the way... What's it called? The play...
The player's guide?
No, the
password?
method.
Oh.
The method of boss
Oh,
The
yeah,
order.
The
boss
order.
yeah.
They gave me the boss order.
So did
And
they
it
mail it
changed
to
my
you, or
life.
did they?
That's
did you have to
adorable.
wait
They mailed
till
it
you-
to me. It
Okay,
was
so
a
you didn't have to
letter.
buy the magazine 2 months later to read it.
No, I was already
Oh, okay.
a faithful subscriber.
That's
No,
adorable.
but I mean, but you had to wait for the issue to come out to learn your answer.
Oh,
They sent you a
They
letter.
sent it back to me. It was
Okay.
cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That personalized touch.
We don't do that anymore.
No, don't do that. You can get some of that though if you come get some ice cream.
Yeah, come get some ice cream and get a personalized touch over at Tubby Robot. Maybe you don't want a personalized touch.
Happy spring, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching Tubby Talk.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Boo, Nvidia. Or yay, Nvidia, if it gets us more views.
Blank Nvidia.
But also, hey, actually, like, comment, subscribe. Ready? And look into your camera. You're over there. You're over there. Okay, ready?
Like.
Comment.
Subscribe.
Yeah. Makes you feel good. Still image. Still image. We're in the still image. There's videos near us. Clickable options. This is the next thing that we'll do when we have the next employee.
It's the end card.
It's the and card.
Put it in here between my hands.
Click
you
there.
go.
Click here. Click here. We have 100 episodes.
If you like this episode, check out this one about us eating too much food.
Oh, talking about eating too much food.
I think
We
the
haven't eaten
ones
too
that
much
I'm
food.
not on are better. No.
We got to do Terry mukbang.
Yeah, I'd love to. I would love to.
Are we still
Yeah.
recording?
I don't know. The second that, yeah, I want to be a mukbang guy.
Young John.